Yo, 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 Big Kish back up in here. The question is, can Drake recover from what he's going through? Can he recover from this? Shout out to Spotlight. I will leave a link in the description. We're about to get into this video. I don't think he can recover, man. I do not think he recovered. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all know I'm like holding y'all. Without further ado, let's get it.
The empire Drake built over the last decade is starting to crumble, and fast. From Billboard domination to global superstardom, he seemed untouchable. But now the tides have shifted. This isn't just a setback. This could be the beginning of the end. Legal battles, public fallouts, and a rapidly changing music landscape are closing in on the sixth god.
Listen, the moral of the story is Drake lost. And he didn't necessarily lose because he was whack. The ending is always the people. When Kendrick dropped Like That, we was on Drake hand. Then Drake drops Push-Ups and we like, okay, all right, Drake. Then Drake comes back with Tailor Made. With the artificial intelligence, I'm gonna tell you something, Drake. That AI Tupac gassed you up. Pac sent it right back. How you spell Pac starts with a P. You know what else?
He said Pac sent it right back.
Starts with a P?
Pyru?
What?
And for the first time, he's
P?
not in control.
Starts with a P. You know what else starts with a P?
Pyru?
And for the first time, he's not in control. It all started with a few subliminals. Then came Kendrick Lamar's devastating diss track, Not Like Us, which didn't just hit hard. It struck at the core of Drake's carefully curated image. What followed was an avalanche of controversy, fan backlash, and serious allegations that even his wealth and fame couldn't shield him from. As record labels distanced themselves and former allies remained silent, or worse, switched sides, Drake's influence is visibly fading. His social media presence has gone from triumphant to defensive. And instead of
Y'all know how usually Drake posts a picture on social media or something, and everybody be like, yo, look, I think he just posted one. Like, ain't nobody say nothing about that joint. I ain't gonna cover that joint. Joint corny, man.
chart-topping anthems, he's now trending for lawsuits, leaked messages, and online chaos. It's the kind of fall that seemed unthinkable just a year ago. In this video, we're breaking down the domino effect behind Drake's downward spiral. From the legal drama that's burning bridges, to the industry politics forcing even longtime collaborators to back away, this is more than a PR crisis. This is a critical moment that could redefine Drake's legacy forever. On that album, several subtle Easter eggs signaled that Kendrick Lamar wasn't the only challenge coming out of Los Angeles.
I really think a writer leaked the first version of Push-Ups. Like a writer pitched it to him, they wrote the song and they did it in the AI, they pitched their voice for AI so they could use his inflections, and then they pitched their voice to Drake's voice using AI. So they
Glasses Malone explaining how ghostwriters write for people now. Because you could use anybody's voice. I think it's called 11 is it 11 Labs? That app 11, you could use anybody's voice. So they send it to Drake, and this is how you rap, and then Drake rap over it.
They sent him the version of the record that they wrote. He took it, covered it, and finished the production at that excellent level that OVO does.
Rick Ross appeared on the track Everyday Hustle, a standout collaboration. The Weeknd was also featured on 2 songs, one of which included background vocals during a moment when Future took a subliminal jab at Drake, accusing him of acting like a federal informant while pretending to be a supporter. This period in hip-hop was filled with uncertainty about the next moves from major artists. Would the industry begin to turn against Drake, the same artist who gave Future multiple hits, elevated Rick Ross with collaborations, introduced Kendrick on the Club Paradise tour, and placed The Weeknd on Take Care before his breakthrough?
No way am I on the song. Am I on the song? I'm not on the song. I swear I'm on the song. Maybe that was gonna sound weird.
What top 5 you smoking on, Kendrick?
He happy. I'm on there. That's the greatest highlight of your career, boy. Drake is not giving you that no more. He was using you. He was using you the whole time. I understand, this is what Drake do. He'll send people a shout out. He'll send them bottles of wine. He'll send them, you know what I'm saying, condolences and all that, just so you could be on his side later on, because he know he know he's headed for destruction.
I was right. Yo, I said all this shit blindly because I know my favorite artist. That Kendrick, I've heard that smoking on your top 5. That was on
a project that positioned Kendrick as the focal point of opposition. Kendrick's message was clear. Artists could either accept the lyrical challenge or publicly avoid it. J. Cole responded before Drake had the chance, while Drake remained occupied with his tour, making this a calculated moment by Kendrick. As fans watched closely, Drake continued performing nightly, maintaining an image of composure, giving motivational speeches, and avoiding any sign of being rattled.
How I'm feeling. I'm gonna let you know how I'm feeling. And listen, the way I'm feeling is the same way I want you to walk out of here feeling tonight about your self. Cause you know how I'm feeling? I got my head up high, my back straight, I'm 10 toes down in Florida or anywhere else I go, and I know that no matter what, it's not a nigga on this earth that can ever f me in my life. And that's how I want you to walk out of here tonight.
Hey, look, just because you believe it don't mean it's true. Seriously.
But in order to, get yourself all gassed up, riled up.
You see that? In order to get yourself gassed up,
and move towards the future. Sometimes you gotta acknowledge the mistakes that you made in the past, right?
Sometimes you gotta lie to yourself.
Meanwhile, J. Cole, the only perceived ally, quickly reversed course. After releasing 7-Minute Drill, he publicly retracted his stance during a live show, praising Kendrick's legacy and calling him one of the greatest ever. This act removed Cole from Drake's corner and left Drake isolated. Now Drake faced a difficult decision: admit defeat in the lyrical arena or confront the challenge and prove he still had elite penmanship. Complicating matters, this unfolded just as he dropped For All the Dogs 2, which received mixed reactions. At the same time, Drake had announced plans to address health concerns and step back from music temporarily. Despite this, the weight of public perception and the desire to retain dominance in hip-hop placed immense pressure on him. Drake's position in the culture had never been more vulnerable.
Oh, here's a real version. Stop playing that reference track. Let's get the real popping. Let's go. Pip squeak, pipe down.
When For All the Dogs faced widespread criticism for lacking lyrical depth, Drake responded within a week by dropping a deluxe edition titled Scary Hours 3, packed with bar-focused tracks. One of the major critiques of the original album was that it didn't showcase enough traditional hip-hop. Critics said Drake was slacking on the bars, a familiar accusation that had followed him for years. This wasn't the first time Drake had faced questions about his lyrical integrity. Since the ghostwriting reference track controversy during his feud with Meek Mill, a section of hip-hop purists had viewed him differently. The credibility issue was further damaged during his clash with Pusha T, where Drake named Pusha's wife in a diss, only to step back after the story of Adidon exposed him. That battle marked another major setback in how some fans perceived his authenticity. Now, at this point in his career, Drake was more relaxed. He had started collaborating with rising stars like Sexy Red and Yate, and was clearly experimenting with his sound. But when For All the Dogs didn't receive the acclaim he anticipated, he quickly responded with a lyrical heavy follow-up. Even though he had previously announced a break to focus on personal health issues, the criticism evidently struck a nerve. The release of Scary Hours 3 felt like a reactionary move, a need to reassert his lyrical dominance. This context is crucial in understanding Drake's mindset during this period. He was both highly reactive to public perception and simultaneously attempting to step back from the spotlight. However, the climate in hip-hop didn't allow for a quiet retreat. Kendrick Lamar's rising momentum and lyrical jabs drew Drake back into the spotlight. And it wasn't just Kendrick. Future, Rick Ross, and The Weeknd were also engaging indirectly. Rick Ross, in particular, posted a video vibing to Kendrick's "Stars in the Ceiling" verse, laughing as if signaling that Drake had been outdone. Even J. Cole, once seen as a neutral party or possible ally, had entered the fray with a diss and then publicly walked it back. This made Drake's decision even harder. After Cole publicly apologized and effectively exited the battle, Drake was left in a corner. He had already gone toe-to-toe with heavyweights like Meek Mill, Common, and Pusha T. To now not respond to Kendrick after Cole's dramatic exit and former collaborators mocking him would signal a retreat from the competitive space he once dominated. Was there really a scenario where Drake could ignore every single artist taking shots? With figures like Future, Metro Boomin, and others weighing in, the world was waiting for his next move, and the clock was ticking. While Kendrick...
You gotta think, Drake probably really ain't, he probably ain't worried. He probably ain't worried. You know why? Because he genuinely wasn't in it for the realness of hip hop. He probably wasn't in it like that. He probably was just in it to satisfy these people that was backing him, as far as like the money and all of that. His heart wasn't in it like that. So that's why he walking around all, yeah. So what? Whatever. Yeah, because he don't care. You know what I'm saying? His heart ain't in it. He really ain't. He ain't hip hop for real. That's why it ain't bothering him. If it really ain't bothering him.
Kendrick Lamar received criticism from platforms like DJ Academics for taking time to respond with Euphoria. Many overlooked the fact that 22 days had already passed without a formal response from Drake. Aside from a few cryptic Instagram captions and scattered motivational monologues during his...
Yo, you know what went crazy? You know how Drake put that academic sample in there? Who top 5 you smoking on? Because my top 5 is Drake. Bruh, if Dot would have rebutted with that that interview with Joe Budden and Academics, when he was like, yo, so is Drake scared of Kendrick? And Academics was like, yeah, hell yeah, he can't mess with him. Bruh, that man, if that would have went, because everybody don't know about that. I think, was that Complex back then? I think that was Complex. Everybody don't know about when Academics was on Kendrick's side. Everybody don't know about that. Everybody don't know. We know about it. Everybody don't know. So if that would have went on the airways,
his ongoing tour, there was silence. But timing is everything in hip-hop, and Drake's silence came to an end just as Future and Metro Boomin were preparing to release We Still Don't Trust You. That moment was perfect for Drake to shift attention from himself to his long-standing rivals. The project was set to drop on April 12th, and speculation ran wild about its potential to double down on the anti-Drake sentiment. The first volume had already featured several known opponents of Drake, raising expectations that the second installment would escalate the tension. While We Still Don't Trust You ultimately leaned heavily into melodic R&B and received critical praise for its production quality, the anticipation around it was fueled by what fans assumed would be another barrage of subliminals targeting Drake. At the time, the tracklist for the upcoming release was hidden, further amplifying the mystery. Names like A$AP Rocky, J. Cole, who had just...
Bruh, get your AI right, boy. A$AP Rocky? That's wow. That is wow. Yo, get your AI right, boy.
Just publicly apologized for his earlier diss. The Weeknd and more were all speculated to appear. With so much energy surrounding the release, it became clear Drake was backed into a corner. This moment called for a decision, engage or retreat. And for Drake, neither option looked promising. If he chose to respond, reports suggested that Kendrick Lamar already had another track recorded, ready to be released immediately after. It was rumored to be more vicious than Euphoria and potentially more damaging. But if Drake didn't respond at all, that silence would solidify the perception that Kendrick Lamar got away with dissing him on Not Like Us, which held the #1 spot on the charts. And fans would remember that forever. The outcome either way risked Drake looking defeated. Speculation grew that Drake might try to reframe the conflict, turning his focus toward easier targets like Future, Metro Boomin, or Rick Ross, artists he could more comfortably confront on a lyrical level. But doing so would only avoid the elephant in the room, because at the center of it all stood Kendrick Lamar and the possibility that he still had another track locked, loaded, and ready to go. Drake's decision to redirect the beef beyond Kendrick Lamar toward a broader circle of opponents became a calculated pivot in the ongoing rap drama. It wasn't just Kendrick in the crosshairs anymore. It was the full list of collaborators and affiliates who had taken subtle or overt shots at him over the past few months. And in the lead up to We Still Don't Trust You, the second collaborative album from Future and Metro Boomin, many believed this shift in strategy would come to a head. Anticipation built as fans expected the album's track list to be packed with subliminal disses, more former allies turning to rivals, and new names getting pulled into the mix. The plan from Drake's camp seemed obvious. Wait until this anticipated project dropped, then hit back with a unified response that would eclipse the album's momentum and dominate the conversation. And that's exactly what Drake attempted, but the execution fell short. His answer to Kendrick's Like That, which by this time had already held the #1 spot on Billboard for multiple weeks, failed to resonate the way he likely intended. The rollout, the delivery, and the reception of Drake's response track didn't match the stakes. And although Kendrick's lyrical retaliation was still ahead,
he ain't have enough dirt. He ain't had no dirt on Kendrick. He ain't had no dirt. That's why I didn't match up. Drake had a lot of stuff to talk about. Even though some people already knew about the stuff, Dot still gonna flip it in a way like ain't nobody thinking. You know what I'm saying? And with Drake Night, you going all the way to California trying to pay people for information and all that, came back with no receipts. Boy, paying all that money, boy. Promising bank transactions and even Bitcoin.
Drake's initial attempt to reclaim the spotlight was already being labeled a misfire. At this point, the pressure had reached a critical level. Not only had Kendrick delivered one of the most impactful diss tracks of the year, but he'd also secured the top spot on the charts. With Like That remaining the #1 song in the country, Drake found himself in a position where continued silence could be interpreted as a loss in both credibility and competitiveness. Ignoring the record was no longer an option, not at this moment, and certainly not given the expectations surrounding his status in hip-hop. As of April 12, 2024, the stakes had shifted. Future and Metro Boomin's second album was about to drop. Kendrick had already applied pressure. J. Cole had entered and exited the feud publicly. And that was still charting at the top. The hip-hop world was waiting, and Drake had to say something. The second installment of the Future and Metro project, however, turned out to be more introspective than fans predicted. Rather than a barrage of disses, the album leaned toward melodic R&B, with subtle jabs embedded within the lyrics. The Weeknd, for example, used the track All to Myself to make sly remarks about Drake's team, hinting at weaknesses, leaked operations, and dancing shooters, references to OVO affiliates.
These the moles back here, yo. These the moles right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 5, 5.
Like Baka Not Nice, who had made viral TikTok appearances. Even more revealing was ASAP Rocky's verse at the end of the album. He directly mentioned reaching out to Future and Metro, implying regret over not being on the first release to take part in the initial Kendrick-led offensive. This was a clear nod to Like That, framing his appearance as a missed opportunity to join in on the public dismantling of Drake. From every angle, the tension had intensified. Drake was surrounded by critics and once close collaborators taking turns at undermining his dominance. His response, though inevitable, came under scrutiny for not shifting the momentum back in his favor. As the pressure mounted, it became increasingly clear. Drake was running out of space to operate without either escalating the beef further or conceding ground in the biggest lyrical battle of his career. In one of the more controversial lines during this unfolding lyrical feud, the rapper directly addressed rumors involving his rival's former partner, Rihanna, flipping the narrative by claiming he had also been involved with the mother of his opponent's child. While provocative, this kind of lyricism has long been a staple in rap beefs, and in this case, it set the tone for what some consider one of the sharpest rebuttals in the battle, particularly aimed at A$AP Rocky. More context on that will...
Yo, come on, son. Come on, son. Come on, son. A$AP Rocky. Yo, we got to put that S up in there, man. I take ASAP over A$AP. I can't do the A$AP, B. Word is bond, boy. We can't do the A$AP Rocky.
Become relevant when reviewing the one-year anniversary of Family Matters and the release of Meet the Grahams, which both represent critical turning points in this saga. As April 12th arrived, the highly anticipated second installment of Future and Metro Boomin's project finally dropped. While the album delivered high-quality production and solid performances, it was notably light on direct lyrical attacks. From a conflict perspective, it was relatively quiet. This shift may have provided Drake an unexpected opportunity, an indirect exit route. With Like That still dominating the Billboard charts, the assumption was that Drake would strike back on the same day the album dropped. Instead, he stayed silent. This silence, combined with a lack of escalation on the second Future and Metro project, created the potential for the storm to settle. J. Cole had already publicly bowed out. A$AP Rocky and The Weeknd had thrown a few lyrical jabs, but none substantial enough to force a response. There was an opening for the situation to de-escalate naturally, an opportunity to bring the feud to a quiet end. However, any notion of disengagement was disrupted on April 13th when an unexpected leak hit the internet. A track titled Gimme 50 featuring Woo Kid surfaced. It was soon identified as the original version of Push Ups. What made this leak so significant was the mystery surrounding its release. Was this track intentionally leaked by Drake's camp as a strategic move to overshadow the Future and Metro Boomin project? Or was it an unplanned breach that unintentionally reignited the feud? Further intrigue came from recent lyrics by The Weeknd on the track All to Myself, where he rapped, "They can never diss my brother's baby when they got leaks in their operation." A day later, this leaked Drake diss record appeared online, creating a whirlwind of speculation. Some question whether it was real, AI generated, or deliberately planted. Despite the confusion, one thing was clear: the battle was back on. The leaked version of Push Ups targeted not only Kendrick Lamar, but also Future, Rick Ross, Metro Boomin, and The Weeknd. It marked a shift from subliminal shots to a full-fledged offensive. The release of this track sent a clear message across the hip-hop landscape. The conflict was far from over. The song was leaked, and to this day there is no definitive answer on whether Drake actually intended for it to be heard by the public. In many ways, he was pulled into this entire conflict rather than stepping into it voluntarily. If the warning shot on Like That had never dropped, it's very likely Drake would have continued avoiding direct lyrical confrontation with Kendrick Lamar. At the time, his position in the industry was too comfortable to willingly embrace the kind of competitive pressure this battle demanded. However, one outcome...
Rapaholics had put me on game. Y'all see these boots right
Position
here?
in the industry was too comfortable to willingly embrace the kind of competitive pressure this battle demanded.
Y'all see this boots? It's a picture inside of here. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I never caught that. It's a picture in these joints. That's him holding his baby. I never caught that joint, yo.
However, one outcome cannot be denied. Drake's decision to engage in this feud contributed to a moment in hip-hop that reignited interest in lyrical competition on a grand scale. While the conclusion of the battle may have been marked by unexpected legal maneuvers, including a controversial lawsuit over diss records, his participation brought undeniable entertainment value to fans worldwide. The release of Push Ups, messy and uncertain as it was, marked a critical turning point in
Bro, it was messy, bro, but I like the beat on the first one. Well, I like the beat on both of them. But that first joint, that get done, get that money, that joint, I like that joint.
the battle. The track's unclear origins, combined with its murky rollout, highlighted the broader pattern of missteps made by Drake throughout this entire saga. In hindsight, Push Up stands as the first of several strategic errors that ultimately shaped the course of the beef. Looking ahead, the one-year anniversaries of each major diss track from this feud will be thoroughly examined in upcoming content. Every lyric, every bar, and every decision will be broken down in full detail. Now it's time to hear your thoughts. Was Push Ups the moment that set in motion the final decline for Drake in this battle? Or was it a commendable first response that deserved more credit? While Kendrick struck with a vibrant, catchy anthem in Not Like Us, one that became a cultural moment, Drake opted for a heavier, more somber approach.
So the question is, with all that being said, we know he lost the battle, right? We know he lost the battle. Could Drake bounce back from this? What could he do to bounce back from this? I don't think he could do nothing to bounce back. I'm starting to see like, yo, people making videos like, yo, Kendrick turned Drake into a full streamer. Like, he's out of the hip hop. He really didn't have a genuine love for hip hop. He's venturing off into other things. He's practicing, he's testing the waters with other things. He got the steak joint. He got the Aiden Ross joint. Every time he on Aiden Ross asks him some dumb questions, and that joint hit. So he liked that right there. Yeah, he liked that. He liked that it's being pushed out in the media. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think as far as like coming back as Drake like he was before the battle, well, way before the battle, because he really was already starting to spiral, y'all. He was already really starting. He talking about he about to retire. He got stomach issues. Stomach ain't right. Eating all that stuff with like what he eating something he ain't got no business eating. He eating them. For all the dogs, man. I think he eating dogs. That's I don't know, bro. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Shout out to Spotlight, man. Big Kish signing out. Going, y'all.